But I have not. You're on.
Is that all treasury?
I like that. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. The time is 5:31. If you could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We could have a roll call of members, please.
Deborah Dawson.
Here.
Judith Hubbard.
Here.
John Hunt.
Here.
Greg Mezzi.
Here.
Rachel Oslin may be a few minutes late this evening. Iris Packman.
Here.
Veronica Pillar. Lee Shirtliff.
Here.
Mike Sigler.
Here.
Adam Vinson. Dan Wakeman.
Here.
Irene Weiser. Here. Christy Bianconi. Here. Travis Brooks.
Here.
Randy Brown.
Here.
Shauna Black.
Here.
Veronica Pillar.
Here. This evening, we do not have any proclamations, petitions, communications, or notices. We also will not have an executive session this evening. And let's go ahead and move on to privilege of the floor for the public. If anyone is here in our audience and would like to speak on privilege of the floor, please fill out a blue form located at the back of the room on the table. And there are some rules for speaking under privilege of the floor. Number one, I agree to a 3-minute time limit. Number two, I agree not to raise my voice. Number three, I agree not to use lewd, obscene, profane, slanderous, or libelous language, or speak or act in a manner that would tend to incite a breach of the peace. Number four, I agree not to speak about county personnel matters. Personnel matters include comments about the job performance of named county employees other than elected officials. Number five, after 3 minutes, I agree to leave the microphone and yield the floor. Transferring time to another person is not permitted. Number six, I agree to be courteous and not make comments, gestures, outbursts, or disruptions while other members of the public or legislators are speaking. Number seven, I agree that if I cause a disruption and am asked to leave, I will leave the chambers. And we have Zachary Wynn.
Good evening. I sent you some more photos of the rat's nest near the TCAT stop and the TCAT stop at the Green Street by the public library. I understand that there are plans in motion to deal with the rats. I just hope that you can maybe accelerate those plans, because it was mid-April when I first noticed it, when the snow melted, and here we are in mid-August. So please, it's really gross having to walk past it all the time. The fall TCAT schedule has been published, and the Route 14 remains limited to service ending at 8 p.m. And that's basically the only bus that services all of East Hill. West Hill. And East Hill service is being expanded specifically late at night. And I think this is a short-sighted, really inequitable allocation of the limited resource that TCAT is. There is no way for anyone who works downtown or at Cornell or Ithaca College to get home on West Hill after 8 p.m. And it would be pretty simple to just have one trip, go up that hill at some point, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, take people through all the stops, up to the hospital, and then shoot back downtown. And if you're coming downtown at that bus at 11 p.m., you would understand that you were responsible for getting yourself home. I am going to be attending the TCAT meeting tomorrow at the library, and just to ask, what is the decision-making process behind why East Hill gets more service and West Hill does not, and when, if ever, can people expect a restoration of the routes that were part of the Route 14 for years up until COVID in 2019? I would like to suggest you all watch the Committee on Unhoused Services. Kayla's on it. She can shout it out. I'm watching, and it's really interesting to hear some of these speakers. One of them who spoke, you can probably shout out his name, the older gentleman who does housing. People are telling him that they don't want to camp in Southwest Park because the perception that it's dangerous, regardless of whether or not it is actually dangerous. And from my perspective, the city is running an illegal, unlicensed campground that they know to be a dangerous place, and also directing people down there when none of the safeguards or amenities that have been promised, except for a water fountain, have been provided. And there are more people down there who have been evicted from the Asteri. It's kind of like some of those people might have started in the jungle, gone to the Asteri, and are now back there. And this has been several years, millions of dollars, and a lot of deaths to end up back at square one. So understanding that the federal guidelines on, treatment first versus housing first have shifted, the city and the county need to get on the same page and change your approach entirely. People are coming here from out of the county, out of the state, to live on the street, use drugs, and the results are clear. Every time I'm downtown now, it's not just one weird thing. I see, people clearly in mental health distress, or panhandling, or digging through the garbage for cans. And someone in that state is not lazy. If somebody is running around in the middle of the night collecting cans, there should be some constructive opportunity provided to them. Beyond the theft of bikes, you hear about that, a lot of that in the meeting. If you get your bike stolen, you can talk to the guy from OAR. He can go down there and find it for you. Probably blew my time here. So again, I appreciate the opportunity. I wish more people would come down here and speak. But you got me. Thanks.
Us too, Zach. Thank you for coming. Okay, I don't see anyone else here on privilege of the floor. Kayla Matos from the City of Ithaca is here. Welcome, Kayla.
Hi, is it on? You guys can hear me, right? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you for shouting out our special committee for coordinated unhoused services, Zach. If you guys want, I will leave room for you guys to ask questions, but I will give a brief update after I give our city update. So last week we had Mona Lita Smiley come in front of us to give us an update on our Roots program. She reported that she's really excited about the current applicants we have gotten for the positions we've posted. Just a reminder, it's 2 part-time positions, 1 full-time position, and then a supervisor position for our Roots program. We closed those applications last week, so now we will be going through the interview process and so on and so forth with that one. We also tomorrow will be discussing our Elm Street PUD that it will be obviously placed on Elm Street. Right now, the community feedback that we are hearing, I will be honest with you guys, West Hill residents are not very happy about this development coming into the neighborhood. So if folks would like to hear that conversation, hear more from our planning staff, hear what our elected officials are saying during that conversation, I do encourage folks to watch tomorrow for further discussion on that. It will be a 75-unit development going on Elm Street, geared towards, it will be market rate housing, however, it's really geared towards, or it has the idea to be geared towards our workforce development. As well, tomorrow we will be talking about the purchase of the Bolodrome and the purpose of creating a public safety building of that. I also encourage folks to watch more on that. So in regards to our coordinated unhoused service planning committee, we have been meeting since I want to say about May now, re-examining the current city policy that we have around enforcement and camping. One of the charges of the committee is actually to discourage camping in the Southwest Park. So as we continue to bring folks in and just do our research and develop the policy, that is something that we will be looking at. To refer more to what Zach was just speaking about, yesterday we invited outreach workers from OAR and REACH, as well as Barry Siegel, who runs his own independent 10-bed transitional housing in the city, to speak about their experiences that they've had with their outreach and their interactions. I will say that there was several organizations yesterday that did name public safety as a concern that they're hearing from folks who are being encouraged to go down to Southwest Park. That is something that outreach workers have been communicating to the city as well. And so something that I will share with you guys, and I look forward to having a further discussion for the public to get a better understanding at next month meeting, is that for the last week or so. We have had Ithaca Police Department going more frequently into the encampments, and this is not to police the folks that are there, but just to ensure that folks are feeling safe, that folks know that there is a presence there, and just trying to get towards more a safer environment while we continue to develop our next steps and plans.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kayla. You up for some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Kayla or comments? Oh, Judith?
Thanks. It sounds like you have a lot on your plate at the city. I'm wondering, at the county, we've been having a lot of discussions about budget for next year and tax increases and what we can afford to do. Are you having those same conversations at the city? Because we're facing, I think it's been publicly announced, a pretty significant budget deficit. And it sounds like you're growing a lot of programs, so I'm just wondering how that works.
Yeah, so we have started some of the preliminary discussions around budget. So Dominic, our acting city manager, gave us the budget kickoff presentation, I want to say about a month or so ago, and he's been meeting with department heads, developing their budgets, their asks. And so within the next few weeks, of course, we'll be rolling out our budget. We start our budget process in October. So yeah, like mid-October is typically when we start budget process. So that's when our information will be more public.
Thanks. Since many of my constituents actually live in the city, I might be remiss in not saying that the city taxes are a very large share of their cost burden, and so please keep that in mind as you're working on your budget.
Yeah, and so one of the things we also passed, I want to say, it wasn't last month because we recessed it in July, so it had to be in June. We passed a directive to city manager to, I want to say, stay below the tax cap. So we gave some guidelines, and once again, as we get into the actual budget process, we'll be able to have a better idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's good if you guys stay under the tax cap because we can go over. Just joking. Iris?
Thanks for these updates. I'm on the city's Sustainability and Climate Justice Commission, and we had some folks come and speak about the West Hill project at our meeting, and we referred them, recommended that they come speak at the meeting tomorrow. And I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit more about what you all will be deciding tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow is really the beginning steps of the PUD process, and essentially what we will be approving or not approving will be the concept design of the development, which means that it will still have to go through the site review, it will still have to go through all the environmental impact reviews, stormwater reviews, all of that, like any normal development would do. And so this is just the first step in that process. There will also be public input, from my understanding, and I get where the residents are coming from with this. They would have rather have seen public engagement prior to the concept coming and us having it and approving it, which, like I said, I understand, but they will have in the following weeks their ability to get feedback.
And is there a chance to weigh in on or make recommendations about changes to the proposal, or is it pretty just a yes or no?
So they came in front of us in June, actually, and this is when council gave their first recommendations of changes. So some of the things that we would have liked to see was increase in units. So they've actually increased from the original 48 unit plan to 75 unit plan. And there's a few other infrastructures critiques that we gave them. So they're coming back with those new changes and edits made. So tomorrow there is room and space to give a few more edits, but also the more edits we are giving is going to prolong the developer's timeline. And one of the things that we are hearing from residents is us to table for at least another month, so that also our residents can understand what this development is going to mean in their neighborhood and how this is going to impact them. So that is, I just encourage everyone to stay tuned tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I do want to thank Kayla and the city. We've been meeting with them on a monthly basis, and I think it's been really very helpful for us to talk about common issues that we're seeing. Today we talked about our Code Blue shelter and the decrease of funding that we're going to receive for the upcoming year. We also talked about TCAT a little bit. We talked about Asteri and some of the enforcement, some of the pest control issues that we've heard about in our community, and then of course the timing, the point in time count that we both believe is not accurate. So thank you for continuing to meet with us. I think it's important, and I definitely see a lot of value in that.
I enjoy the meetings, and I see the value in them too. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, next let's move to legislator privilege of the floor. Lee Shurtleff.
Just a quick announcement. As we move toward the end of summer, we're looking forward to the Groton Old Home Days this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, throughout the village. It's a time when we celebrate the heritage of the community and look forward to future enhancements. Number of activities throughout. We can invite anybody to come out and participate, and it's capped off with a grand parade, one of the largest in the region, at 6 o'clock Saturday evening throughout the village. So come help us celebrate our community.
Thank you, Lee. Rachel?
Lee's announcement reminded me that the Trumansburg Fair is happening August 25th through the 30th. It's very fun. There's lots of rides. There's usually monster truck rallies and a demolition derby and all sorts of fun things. So you should come out and enjoy that as well as the Groton one.
Thank you. And don't let your 13-year-old boy go to that because they end up bringing home goldfish, is what I learned. We ended up with 2 goldfish last year. Sadly, you're not with us anymore. Okay, anyone else? Okay, moving right along. I have just a quick chair's report. I did want to begin with an update on our Code Blue shelter and our emergency shelter services. As we look ahead to the coming winter, we remain committed to making sure that our neighbors experiencing homelessness have access to safe shelter and the services that they need. I'm going to keep advocating with Senator Leah Webb and Assemblywoman Anna Cullis for additional state funding so that Tompkins County can continue to operate our full-service shelter, because I think we made some real headway last year. The one thing that I think we also have to have a conversation about is that this is an important investment in our health, safety, and dignity of members of our community. And I also want to recognize the work that Volunteers of America and their partnership that allowed us to provide care management service and connect individuals with benefits, resources, and meaningful engagement. Those services go beyond simply providing a warm place to stay. They help people connect with support that they need in order to have greater stability. I also want to take a moment to thank our county administrator, administrative team, and department heads for participating in our retreat yesterday. We had important and productive conversations about our working relationships, the upcoming budget, and how we can continue to improve our process. We know this is going to be a difficult budget year. There will be challenging decisions ahead, but I am confident that we can approach those decisions thoughtfully and responsibly. Our commitment is to a process that is deliberate, transparent, and respectful, recognizing that we are all working towards the same goal and are on the same team, providing the best possible service to the residents of Tompkins County. Finally, I want to express my appreciation to all the county staff. Day in and day out, our employees continue to serve our residents with professionalism, compassion, and dedication. Much of the work that happens behind the scenes, but it also makes an enormous difference in the lives of people throughout our county. So thank you to everyone who continues to show up, do the work, and serve Tompkins County. I'm also grateful for your commitment and also looking forward to working together as we embark upon a really difficult budget season. Okay, next, the special topical presentations and discussions. I see that we do have our audited financial statements from Insero, and Conrad is here. And reports by County Administrator, County Attorney, and Director of Finance. Why don't we go ahead and have Insero do their audit report? And I know some of you have already seen this. Budget and Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee have already had the presentation, so we are going to have a bit of an abridged version here. And For those of you that are new, I always found that the really helpful part was the executive summary, because it essentially notes all of the really important stuff. Not that the other, 800 pages aren't really important as well, but the executive summary kind of pinpoints what we should be focusing on.
Okay, thank you for a few minutes this evening to review the highlights of the audit. My name is Dwayne Schoen, audit partner with Insero. Conrad White's with me, audit manager. Conrad's responsible for the day-to-day work, so we're going to tag team a little bit on the discussion this evening. We are going to talk pretty much from the executive summary that Shauna had referred to. You have copies of those in front of you. And certainly if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to take those. So the first 2-3 pages of the executive summary after the cover page highlight the different reports that are issued as a result of the audit process. Most of those are clean, unmodified opinions. There is one comment in the management comment letter that we talked about during budget committee meeting last week. But the report, the opinion on the financial statements themselves, on the government auditing standards report, on the single audit report, those are all clean opinions with no findings. And you should note on the bottom of page 2 of the executive summary, just comment, county spent about $36.3 million in federal money, most of it passed down through the state. And then at the bottom of page 3, the county spent about $18 million in New York State DOT funding, separate from those federal dollars. And then on page 4 of the executive summary is one more letter that we issued as a result of the audit. As a result of the audit, required communication letter, auditing standards that require that we communicate certain aspects of the audit when we're done. That's what that letter is for. That's also in your packet this evening. And we didn't have any concerns with respect to that letter. So with that, I will turn it over to Conrad.
Thanks, Dwayne. So, excuse me, starting on page 5, we'll take a quick look at some of the overall governmental activities, starting with the revenues, then the expenditures. Taking a look at your governmental activities for your revenues, your biggest piece of your pie was your operating grants this year, which came in around $78.8 million. That was closely followed by your sales and other taxes that came in around $76.8 million. Now, these are governmental numbers, not just your fund numbers, but we do take a little bit more work to whatever GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board, asks us to do to go from the short-term look to the long-term look for the county itself. Comparing that to 2024, the numbers are about the same percentage-wise, operating grants, then your sales and other taxes, followed by your real property taxes. Going to page 6, taking a look at your expenses. Once again, for the county, the largest share of your expenditures happened within that economic assistance and opportunity grouping. That was about $79 million compared to about $73 million in the prior year. So expenses rose, but the share was about the same, within about 2 percentage points, followed by your general governmental support. Now, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. I'm open for any questions that you may have. Going on to page 7, we'll take a quick look at your general fund, starting with the assets. Your assets did decrease from the prior year about $700,000. Although your cash did increase, what we saw was a decrease in that due from other funds line items. In the prior year, you have 2 funds, the general and the fringe fund, that we usually combine. What we did not do in the prior year that we worked on this year was eliminating some of the interfund amounts that were due from one fund to the other. So that was that big decrease. of that $9 million down to that $1.3 million. Other than that, we did see increases even in your receivables for the DSS as well as your taxes. Look at the liabilities and deferred inflows of outflows. That did decrease as well, about $2.6 million. The biggest decrease you can see is in that unearned, unavailable revenue line item. That really had to do with the spend down of the ARPA money, as well as there was a decrease in the deferred revenue for DSS as well in the current year. Taking a look at the revenues on page 8. Oh, sorry.
I just had a quick question for on page 7. Do you know what was driving the change in accounts payable and accruals from 2021 to 2025? That there's like a $10 million difference.
Not off the top of my head, but I can take a look at that and get an answer to you.
Or if Daryl, if you have an idea.
If I'm not mistaken, at that time, around 2022, we started really working on drawing down some of the grant funds for TCAT. So some of that, what that does is, depending on the timing and when my office gets it and when we pay it, anything that's paid that's accrued back to the prior year but doesn't physically happen until the next year is accounts payable. So also we work very hard to identify, my staff, finance department, to identify and make sure that everything that per accounting guidelines needs to be in that year is. So I know we've kind of built in a better laser eye to focus on most of that. So I think that, but along with the TCAT, is part of the reason.
Any other questions? Going to the bottom of page 8, I'll skip over the fund balance for the time being. Taking a look at the revenues did increase over the prior year about $10 million. A large portion of that increase had to do with that state sources line item that went from $46 million up to $58.9 million. A lot of that had to do with TCAT funding as well. There was about $13 million in transit funds that were received from the state government, and I think that was passed through to TCAT as well. So that does explain some of the high payable balance that you also did see on the prior page. We also did see a decrease in the federal sources as the county was finishing up a lot of their ARPA type funding. We did expect to see a decrease in those federal sources. The federal sources, the remainder would have been the DSS type fundings, which would have been the largest portion of that federal funding.
Mike Sigler?
So if we so let's just take that 13 million. I mean, that's not money we have available to us. It's just literally passed through, right?
Yes, so what you see is the revenue coming in, and then you would see the expense going out as well.
Yeah, that seems like an odd way to note something that we actually have no control over. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it comes in and it goes out. I think they just have to report that, right?
Right. Okay.
As the county is, how do I say this? In charge really of TCAT's monies, you still do have to show it on your books.
Right.
Showing no money doesn't really do it justice in the money that comes in from the state or the federal government because they see it going into the county. They don't see it going into TCAT. To see the funds, they need to see where it's actually gone to, and that's to Tompkins County, not to TCAT itself.
I got you. All right.
Any other questions? Looking at page 9, taking a look at the expenditures. The expenditures did decrease from the prior year, about $10 million. The biggest change for that is that interfund line item at the bottom that went from $27 million down to $11 million. In the prior year, there was a real push to put some money into those capital projects that the county did have. And you'll see that on the next page as well. So that was the main decrease. The largest expense, once again, is that economic assistance and opportunities line item that went from $69 million to $76 million. A lot of that is your social services expenses. Now, going to page 10, this just gives a snapshot of the county's other funds, the capital projects, debt service, and all the special revenue funds, such as the road machinery, and funds such as that. Now, as I said on the previous page, as the expenses did go down from the prior year, you can see in that top line where the capital projects revenues went from $22 million down to $9.2 million. $18 million of that was the transfers in the prior year. In the current year, there was only about $4 million in transfers from the general fund over to the capital projects fund. Another $3 million of that $9.2 million was in federal aid. Now, I did skip over fund balance previously, but this is a more detailed look at fund balance for the current year at the county. You have your prepaid items, which is your non-spendable, your restricted, of which $5.7 million is in that capital reserve. In the last couple of years, the county has made an effort to fund not only that, but the tax stabilization reserve to the tune of about $8.4 million in 2025. And then you have the assign, of which $4.6 million was appropriated for the following year's budget. The remainder, or the catch-all, was at $44 million in the unassigned budget, which is down from $62 in 2021, but as you have used some of the fund balances, that was to be expected. Going on to page 12, one of the changes that we did make from the BCP meeting last week was we did move some of the amounts around on the budget pages, mostly in the revenues. We did erroneously show some of the assigned fund balance amounts in revenues. We did move those out. So with that, I think the variance last week was $5 million. That's down to about $2 million. So we show an unfavorable variance against a budget of about 0.73%. On the expenditure side, we did show a favorability against the budget of about $7.6 million. The most savings were in the public health and the transportation line items. Are there any questions? Yes.
Judith? I don't know what favorable versus unfavorable variance means.
I apologize. So when we're looking at the expenditures, we want to make sure that the county itself, for these functions such as general government or education, are you're expending under what you were budgeted for at year end. We are tasked, one of the things that we look for is to make sure that there's nothing that we considered overexpended, meaning that you are not spending more than what you budgeted for in a current year. So we look at that as a favorable variance, saying you were tasked with only spending at the final budget $27.8 million in public health. You only spent $25.3 million in public health. So that's what we kind of call it a favorable variance of about $2.5 million. Does that help? Sorry.
Yeah, that does help. I'm just wondering, how can we be spending money differently than what we budgeted for?
So when you're looking at the budget, there's a couple different aspects. So as money comes in during the year, let's say for a new grant or something, you can also increase the budget. And you may also have some cost measures that say, this is how much we expect to spend if there are things such as vacancies or things like that, or if you had, let's say, for instance, you had a mild winter and you didn't spend as much in snow removal or things like that, you may not spend up to what you budgeted for a given year. So there are different ways that you can actually come in under budget for a given year.
Thank you.
So page 13 just gives a little comparison to where you were in the prior year. Your variance was around the same, about $7.4 million compared to what you had at about $7.6 million in expenses for 2025. And lastly, page 14, once again, this brings into consideration all your long-term assets and your long-term liabilities when we look at the net position, which is different from the fund balance. So overall, the net position of the county, as we are tasked with looking at it, was a net position of $167 million. Of that, there was a deficit of $53 million in the unrestricted. But I always talk about there are different items that are not funded or are able to be funded by the county itself. Those items, most notably our GASB 68 for the employee retirement system and GASB 75, which relates to the other post-employment benefits. These are liabilities that are actually determined on a yearly basis, and without these amounts, the county would have had an unrestricted net position instead of $60 million. So you can see that the deficit, and we have to report the deficit, but there are items that we report as reconciled out to show what we feel is a better representation of the overall net position. Thank you. Any questions on the report overall? Now, I will say, as Shauna said, the executive summary is a quick overview. If you guys are ever interested in a good bedtime story, the overall financial statements, which I believe will be emailed at some point, I think we emailed that to Daryl. It will be available to you. That's too many pages. I don't remember how many pages that is at this point, but that does go more into detail about the numbers within the financial statements. The footnotes to the financial statements do give a good representation of the biggest numbers that we take a look at, such as the OPEB or the GASB and things like that. So the footnotes to the financial statements are where the bulk of the information comes from. Any questions?
I have Deborah, and then Rachel, and then Randy.
Yes.
Congratulations, Conrad. I think you've stunned us into silence, but I will say thank you. I will say to my colleagues, especially our freshman class, that it's well worth reading the footnotes in the larger report, because not only does it explain the actual numbers, but it helps illuminate concepts that are foreign to those of us who are not accountants, which is pretty much everybody.
Next is Rachel.
Thank you for the report and for the presentation. In the longer report, it was on page 51, it mentions that the county continues to reap the benefits of participation in the highly successful Greater Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium. And I was wondering if that statement was because you've audited other counties and you've seen that their insurance rates are higher than ours because they're not part of a similar consortium, or just more background for how you came to that conclusion.
My guess, without knowing, I kind of think that that's probably wording that's just been there like that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything specific to this year's presentation.
Randy?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for being here again. This is more of just understanding when we prepare the 2027 budget. And when I look at page 12 or 11, I'm not sure which one it is, of the executive summary. Yeah, it's 12. So we start with the original budget. And so is the original budget what is first proposed by the administrator, or?
Yes.
Okay. And so then the final budget.
No, it's our adopted budget.
That's the adopted budget. Yes.
It's the adopted budget.
The original budget.
Yes.
Yes.
So the final budget with, which is $17 million more than the original budget, is that for all the various resolutions that we did, or we did that many? Okay. Let's pay attention to that in the future, huh?
It's what I said.
Can I add one comment really quick? That also includes anything that the finance director does to ensure the year end. There's budget adjustments that the legislature has given me authority to do. A lot of that has to do, I know I did a decently large one due to the increase of sales tax we received. So I did a budget adjustment that increases the revenue for that, and it also increased the expenditure to distribute it to the towns. So it does include all your resolutions, but it does sometimes include some that I do as the finance director.
Okay. Yeah, and then the actual with encumbrances, that's where we ended up at the end of 25.
Correct.
Okay. And then when I look down, and it's the other page, on page 13, Oh, I'm sorry, that's 24, never mind.
Yes.
That's page 24.
Yes.
Yes.
Never mind.
Great. Well, thank you for providing us with your presentation. I also want to thank this legislature and previous legislatures that they have actually prioritized doing the annual audits. We've seen from our neighbors what happens whenever you do not prioritize, and I'm also very thankful that we were not fired as a client, so appreciate that. Let's see here. Are there any other questions or comments? To accept the, yeah, why don't we move?
Donna, I have one question.
Yep.
I'm looking at page 9, and I just want to confirm that I understand what I'm looking at. You have these different expenditures in different categories, you know, general governmental support and so on. And between 2021 and 2025, I'm seeing this, while some of them have not increased very much, like public health went up only 6% over those 4 years. Some of them went up 10% a year for a total of like 40% over that time. Is that reflects the reality of how we've been spending our money? I'm just noticing some variance between different categories.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Randy.
Yeah, I just got a question. We're going to be, once this resolution comes forward, we're going to be voting to accept this audit report. Is that the terminology we're using? Okay, so when we say accept, that means that we agree with everything in it, or we don't have any questions, or it's just that, hey, we accept the report for your work that you've done, and we think it's good work, but, I mean, what's the technology?
Yes.
I haven't had time to, it's a huge report.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste everybody's time.
Yeah.
And it takes 10 to 12 hours to even read this. And then you got to go back, right? So I mean, I'm going to have some questions going forward, and I'm willing to vote to accept it, but I'm going to want to get it more.
Yeah, so there's acceptance, implementation, isn't that?
Adoption.
Adoption. And so today we are just accepting the information they're providing to us, and then we will need to figure out if we want to adopt it. I think for a lot of the reports, we just accept.
We accept this. This is traditional.
So.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Deborah, would you like to move Resolution N for us?
Oh, I would love to.
Okay.
Okay, so Resolution N, acceptance of audited financial report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2025, ID 14194, and I so move.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Travis. And any other comments, questions? Okay, we are going to do a roll call vote this evening.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. And thank you, Insiro, for joining us and for this great report.
One more thing before I leave, I do want to give our appreciation to Daryl for the years of service that he has given to us. He puts up a lot with me, but we do want to thank him, and to Corsa for his interim work. But we do want to thank you guys for allowing us to come and do this on a yearly basis.
Thank you. We appreciate your work. Okay, why don't we move up some resolutions so that some of our staff can head out. We'll go ahead and do consent first, and then I'd like to move up Resolution M, and then Katie, you have a handful of resolutions. We can go through those as well, and you might be able to see some sunlight this evening. Okay, is that all right with everyone to move up? Okay. Let's start with the consent agenda, resolutions and appointments to be voted on as a group unless any member of the legislature requests their resolution or appointment be instead included separately and individually as part of the business of standing or special committees. Appointments, advisory board appointments, ID 14255. And I have Government Operations Committee, Historical Commission, Simon Warhoft, Commissioner, term expires December 31st, 2026. Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee, Resolution A, authorization.
Please remove A.
Okay. Government Operations Committee, Resolution B, adoption of 2026 assessment roll footings, ID 14229. Resolution C, establishing county equalization rates, ID 14230. Housing and Economic Development Committee, Resolution D, designation of tourism promotion agency for state, ID 14084. Resolution E, scheduling a public hearing for 2026 New York State Community Development Block Grant, CDBG assistance, ID 14246. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Irene, seconded by Dan. And we will do a roll call vote.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay. Next, if I can ask Travis Brooks out of Public Safety to bring forward Resolution M, please.
Authorizing a public hearing on local law number B of 2026, a local law establishing a Tompkins County Animal Abuse Registry, ID 14235.
Christy, would you like to second this? I should have had you make the main motion, but I forgot you were here.
That's okay. Yes, go ahead and have me second it.
Okay. So I just want to add before Christy and Travis introduce this, Christy has spent so much time on this, and this was something that one of her constituents brought forward, and the work here is just really, really incredible. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Travis or Christy, would you like to talk to the resolution?
This came up, Christy brought this forward at our last public safety meeting. We spent quite a bit of time going over the details. Some of the language was sent back to address, but we wanted to be able to get the public hearing on the books before, at this meeting, and then bring the resolution back at our next meeting to finalize it, which is next week. So the whole idea is just to be able to have the public hearing for this because it's a law. Christy, you want to add anything else about the public hearing?
I don't think so. I think it's, once it goes to public hearing, we can debate the law after the hearing. And this vote is just to get the public hearing scheduled. And yeah, it was a great process, a great learning process. That's all I have to add. Thank you.
Great. And our District Attorney, Matthew Van Houten, is here. Would you like to comment as well?
Thanks. I'm happy to answer questions or address concerns that people have. I will say that part of what I did at the last Public Safety Committee meeting was try to narrow down the number of sections of the law that might be something that results in a registry entry. I can say anecdotally that we prosecute about half a dozen to 10 on the high side cases of animal cruelty a year. It's not something that we have a huge volume of. Every case is treated separately, and we distinguish the cases that involve people who are struggling with poverty, who are struggling with mental illness. We never want to criminalize someone who is in that scenario. We try to work with them to find a resolution that is compassionate and fits the circumstances. But there are people who are, for no morally good reason, cruel to animals, and I think that this makes a statement to those people or people who would try to get more animals if there is such a registry. So I think it would be easy to maintain. The sheriff's office would maintain it on their website, and it would not be burdensome on the county to do that, certainly not from my office's perspective.
Great, thank you. Also, just a little background information. Broome County has already instituted an animal registry, abuse registry, and that was done by their legislator, Mary Kaminsky, and it has probably been up and running for about 7 years now, and it's been very, very successful. I'm very happy that Travis and Christy met with not only Matt, but the sheriff, as well as Maurice helped write up the local law as well. So it has been vetted by our community partners and those that would need to actually roll this enforcement and this mechanism out. I have Adam, John, and Greg.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Christy and everyone else who worked on this bill. I think it's a really good law, and I look forward to voting for it. But I do have one question, and I asked this at government operations. But this law is built around convictions under New York State law, and I'm wondering how this law proposes to handle offenders who committed similar violations in other states but moved to Tompkins County.
Well, that's as with any out-of-state conviction, we compare it to New York State law. And if a conviction from out of state that we become aware of is something that would have been, under the facts of that conviction, a violation of New York State law, then we would consider that to be registrable.
Okay, thank you.
John?
So I just wanted to clarify, there's a long list of things from this 353 law down, most of which make sense in, not having appropriate shelter and so on. But the very last one I was a little confused about at first. It said protection of the public from attack by wild animals and reptiles. But when you look up the actual law, it has another phrase that says that own or keep those animals. So if you happen to have an alligator in your house, you have to protect people from being attacked by the alligator.
I would say of that list, there are probably one or two, maybe three of that list that are actually things that we've ever prosecuted. There's some obscure ones like that one that I would guess we're never going to see, but it is something that, I would consider to be egregious if it was to be committed.
Never know, there were bears at Cornell.
Right, yeah, and they've addressed that in their JA code.
Greg, and then Irene.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who worked on this. Matt, just in your expertise, why is something like this necessary, and would or should there be a child abuse registry, a elder abuse registry if performed in a professional setting, et cetera? I guess my question is, at what point or where do we keep adding registries? And are there other ones that may be equally or more impactful to community awareness, et cetera, that we should be considering?
Well, there are other registries. There is a child abuse registry that is something that DSS maintains and works on. There's a sex offender registry. Really, I think it just reflects the community's values. If this is something that this community feels is something worth the time to create and maintain this registry, which I think, the protection of animals is not only in and of itself valuable, but also as an indicator. People that abuse animals are also more likely to do other things that would fall into my radar. So, you're right. I mean, how many registries do we want? But it's as many registries as there are issues that we think are important.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate that. Again, I don't object to this. I think it's great work. I think it's important. I'm just curious to know your thoughts while we had your time. So thank you.
And if it saves a few animals, if it's not something that is robust, and we have many people on, I think, how many animals, make it worthwhile. I would say one.
Mm-hmm. Good thing. It's a very good thing.
Irene?
Yeah, I just want to thank Christy for bringing this forward, and Matt and the sheriff both for incorporating some of the feedback that I gave and helping to shape it in a way that I think looks very, very good and very strong, and I'm pleased to support it now. Thank you.
Great. Iris?
I'm curious if there's a way for the county to require that entities within the county who adopt out or breed animals have to check the registry.
That's probably a Maury question.
I don't believe that that's addressed in the.
It's not in there, but would we have the authority to do so?
To adopt a policy that would require county entities to check the registry or to, certainly we could make that a provision of law. We could make that part of a publicity campaign concerning the registry, that we encourage, all institutions or entities that acquire animals or that are involved with animals to check the registry before contracting. So I think that could be, it could either be something that's part of a public campaign, or it could be something that's added to this law as an amendment in the future. I don't know that that it would make sense to do that within the parameters of the law that we're adopting now, if we're hoping to get this adopted, out to public hearing and adopted early this fall. One thing I also wanted to add, as long as I was asked the question, is to provide credit where credit is due with respect to this local law. Out of my office, the vast bulk of the work was done by the Deputy County Attorney, Holly Mosier, who did a wonderful job working through with Christie the terms of the local law. Another thing that I wanted to add on the on the issue of registries, there are different kinds of registries that are attention-getting. Typically, New York City will do one with respect to parking scofflaws, and we may want to do some with certain entities that are scofflaws with respect to some county tax obligations that we've talked about in the past.
Thank you, Maury, and thank you to Holly as well. I know this cause is very near and dear to her heart, too.
Yes, she brings in our county attorney's office therapy dog periodically that we all enjoy having at the office. Now that he and his playmate are in doggy daycare, we don't get to see him as often, but they are wonderful.
Great, thank you.
I was also, sorry, just to wrap it,
Yep.
Is there, I know we support the SPCA in a small way, but it's part of the county. Is there a way for this to be a requirement for their work, right? Before when they do the adoption check, that this would be part of that check?
I know they were part of the conversations, but I am not sure. I was not in the room for that. Christy, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, we did not actually have them as part of the conversation. And it's more so because at the national level, they don't go out of their way. They cite evidence that the registries don't deter animal cruelty. It's very mixed evidence. And so they have their own methods that they use. We very much appreciate the work that we do and admire and respect the work that they do. It's great work. We talked about this and looked at it through multiple angles. It's more than just deterrence. It's information sharing. Any person who sells animals, adopts out animals, can look at that registry and make sure that somebody that they're planning on giving an animal to isn't on that list. It's also, like Maury said, in that it's community standards. It represents what we value as a community. So it's just a slight difference in how we look at things. So we didn't look at making that a part of their process, but so they do have their own internal process.
Okay. Well, I would be interested in the future, I guess, in pursuing that, because I think enforcement is so important and spreading the word is great, but if they're not running the checks, because I agree, it's not really about deterrence, it's about trying to stop animals from getting in the hands of known animal abusers, right? And so if we can stop it at the point of adoption or purchase of the animal, that seems much more effective then subsequently, someone checking.
Okay. Why don't we do a roll call vote? Again, this is just for a public hearing. We're not actually debating or voting to move forward the local law.
Okay. Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. I forgot to ask, are there any resolutions to be added to or withdrawn from the agenda?
And for the record, this was all Christie and folks. I had nothing to do with this except getting it on the agenda. I just want to get the credit to where the credit is supposed to go. Thank you, Christie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Travis, and thank you for your support.
Okay. Next, why don't we go ahead and move on to some resolutions in peak? We have a whole handful of them. And Irene, would you like to forge us forward?
Sure. Starting with Resolution F, contingent fund appropriation from the Department of Planning and Sustainability, the 2026 Farmland Protection and Implementation Grant support to the New York Agricultural Land Trust.
Great. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Rachel. Would you like to speak to this resolution?
Yeah, I think, actually, Rachel, why don't you, since you're the one who brought this and worked closely on this?
Sure. So this has already gone before Peak and BCP, and it's passed unanimously at both. So I think most people have already seen it. But in short, this looks to appropriate $2,500 from contingent funds to the Department of Planning in order to pay the New York Agricultural Land Trust for their completion of a farmland protection and implementation grant application. And that's for the permanent protection of 131 acres of Oshner Farms, which is in Newfield and Ulysses. After BCP, we also clarified that there are no tax implications from this land being protected by a conservation easement. And again, this is just a one-time $2,500 payment from the county. And if the application is accepted, NIAL, which is the New York Ag Land Trust, will manage these easements in perpetuity. So it takes the burden off of county staff and the money and the time that we would have to spend managing those properties.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, why don't we do a roll call vote, please?
Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Great. Moving on to resolution. Actually, I'm going to just sort of frame up all of the subsequent resolutions if I can. These are all related to the county's natural infrastructure capital program. It's funding that's been provided specifically to support various land preservation that protects natural systems and natural resources that help to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change. They focus primarily right now on mitigating potential for downstream flooding and sedimentation, and also establishing important migratory corridors to enable plant and animal species to be more resilient in the face of climate change. And there are a whole list of specific eligibility criteria that a project can be contribute to meet those criteria. And so each of these met those criteria. What we have here is first a negative declaration of environmental significance for each project, and I'll go through them, and then following that, actually appropriating the funds to support the ongoing work that the Finger Lakes Land Trust will do to protect these properties in perpetuity. And we have here, Kate, I don't know if you want to speak at all further than what I've said, or Katie, before we go into each of these. Okay. All right, great. Then I will tick through each of them. The first would be Resolution G, making a negative determination of environmental significance in relationship to the resolution for appropriating funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program to support the Finger Lake Land Trust Bergman acquisition to create a new nature preserve.
That's ID 14187. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Randy.
And any questions or discussion?
Okay, why don't we do a roll call vote?
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Great.
Great. So then moving on to Resolution H, which is actually appropriating the funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program to support the Finger Lake Land Trust Bergman acquisition to create a new nature preserve. And it's ID number 14188.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Adam. And do you want to give a little statement?
Sure. I can just say very briefly, this is a parcel that's in Newfield. The appropriation would be for $53,000 to protect 130 acres of land that would become part of a new nature preserve. This one is, it's near the Green Springs Cemetery and also State Forest, so it just helps to protect the area all around there and protect the animal corridors and preserve overall.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Randy?
Yes, I read the report on this, and thanks for the maps. It's good to read all those things and to understand the purpose of it, and that the funding is already, the funds are already in a reserve account for this, so it's not affecting anything. I know this parcel. I've been, know the people around it. It's up on a hill. It's good. It's been the Bergman family for a while, and it's great of them to cooperate, and I support this.
Thank you, Randy. Greg?
Yeah, just a point of clarity. We have, I believe, 3 resolutions that draw funds from this fund.
That's correct.
In each one of the resolutions, it states the balance of the resolution of the fund. I would ask if there is procedurally a way that they can be amended to reflect with each passage the declining balance of the fund, because otherwise it's misrepresenting the fund balance. So if we pass one, the fund balance will go down. If we pass another one, the fund balance will go down. So in the third resolution, there's no longer $379,044.06.
I think that makes it difficult because if we go out of order at any given time in the future.
Well, we're passing them tonight. What do you mean out of order in the future?
I can do it as,
You can do it? Okay.
we can do it as a manifest, yeah.
Okay.
We'll take care of it.
I think in the future, though, it could be difficult if we're doing it in committee because we sometimes.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying it's not accurate if we pass one and then we move on to the other one.
Yeah.
I just prefer that they be accurate.
Okay. Katrina will make those changes if that's all right with everyone. No objections? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to Resolution I, making a negative determination of environmental significance in relation to resolution for appropriating funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program to support the Finger Lake Land Trust Osachki and Walding acquisition as an addition to the Lindsay Parsons Biodiversity Preserve.
ID 14189. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Judith. Would you like to?
Yeah, this is just the neg deck. Do you want me to describe the actual project now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. This is a request for would be a request for $28,000. As it says here, for adding to the Lindsay Parsons Biodiversity Preserve. If anybody's been out there, it's this beautiful area that's on both sides of, I always get it mixed up, it's 96 or 96B. In any case, this is adding 86 acres to the part that is really on the wetland side where there aren't trails. It's really protecting it's beautiful when you drive by, beautiful wetlands that you can see from the road. So that's what this parcel is.
Thank you. Let's do a roll call, please. Or actually, are there any questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Okay. You ready, Irene, for resolution? I think that's J.
Hang on, it's in a different section of the packet here. I can read that the name is Resolution I, which, we did I, making the neg deck. This is actually, the next one is J, appropriating the funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program to support the Finger Lake Land Trust, Osagee and Walding acquisition as an addition to the Lindsay Parsons Biodiversity Preserve, ID 14190.
Great. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Rachel. And Randy?
I was at this property earlier this spring, and it is a really nice area. It's in close proximity to one of our closed landfills as well. And one thing I did note, and maybe it's been fixed, is maybe the signage. If it's going, I think that's a place where people do go and walk the trails, and it's really beautiful back in there. It's been a few years for me, but I think some updating, some signage, some type of thing to make it more accessible to people, so that when they go, that maybe there's an online app that you can scroll or whatever. I don't know, but we want properties like this that are protected to be able to be utilized for the purpose they are.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, any other questions or comments? Let's do a roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Okay, moving right along. We now have Resolution K to make a negative declaration of environmental significance in relation to the resolution for appropriating funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program, support the Finger Lake Land Trust Schneider acquisition, and transfer to the Wetlands Trust. That ID number is 14191.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Judith. Okay.
You want me to discuss this just a little bit too?
Yeah.
This is a parcel I'm very familiar with because it's in the town of Caroline, and it's a wetland that ultimately would feed into 6 Mile Creek, which is the water source for the city. And it's also a really special area that's very tricky. It's located right along the edge of a road, and this is a bed and breakfast across the street that has allowed this property to now be protected. It is already protected as a DEC wetland, but the land surrounding it is not. We're hoping that this will be the first of several of the neighbors that live along this wetland, that this will inspire hopefully others to also protect the land around the wetland. And so anyhow, this is a 18-acre parcel, and we're requesting $13,425.
Okay. John?
Oh, I'm just voting. I thought we were voting.
Oh, okay. Let's do a roll call. You're excited about this one.
Deborah Dawson,
Yes.
Judith Hubbard,
Yes.
John Hunt,
Yes.
Greg Mezzi,
Yes.
Rachel Oslin,
Yes.
Iris Packman,
Yes.
Veronica Pillar,
Yes.
Lee Shurtleff,
Yes.
Mike Sigler,
Yes.
Adam Vinson,
Yes.
Dan Wakeman,
Yes.
Irene Weiser,
Yes.
Christy Bianconi,
Yes.
Travis Brooks,
Yes.
Randy Brown,
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Great. And in the home stretch here, Resolution L, which is to appropriate funds from the Natural Infrastructure Capital Program to support the Finger Lakes Land Trust Schneider acquisition and transfer to the Wetlands Trust, and that is ID number 14192.
Seconded by John Hunt.
I just want to add one comment about this whole program, because when I think about natural infrastructure, it's kind of it's a curious kind of language, and it really made me stop and think, what do we mean by that? And the work that wetlands and biodiversity and preserving nature does in so many ways. I mean, conserving water, trapping water in storms, filtering water and pollutants out of storms from wetlands. It's just such an important thing, and we couldn't afford to engineer what wetlands do. So it really is a kind of capital project and capital infrastructure investment. So I just want to really express some appreciation for this fund and for the work that it does. For our community, in addition to, and it's also wonderful when these protected areas also can have trails and whatever. But it's something that I think our whole community values. But I also just in the way that it's titled as a natural infrastructure, I think is just important to recognize. So.
Thank you, Irene. I absolutely agree. Finger Lakes Land Trust does incredible work, and I think whenever we think about preservation and making sure that special space is going to be saved for my children, their grandchildren, I definitely think of Finger Lakes Trust. So thank you for the good work. Greg?
Yeah, kudos again to Finger Lakes Land Trust, the work they do to make these natural areas accessible, really, for all. Those either visiting or living in Tompkins County is to be commended. One of the questions I have about the program, if my colleagues remember, we stopped as part of our capital program funding this program, if memory serves me correctly, or put it on a pause so that we could fund some other things. And I guess maybe this is something that maybe Pete could take up, or I'm not sure, or if the discussion will be had, is there a goal of this program, right? And what percentage of our county land do we want to see preserved? Or is there a target? Is there something that we're working towards? And that's one of the things that, and I mentioned this maybe 5 minutes before the meeting to Katie, sort of my thoughts as I was coming to the meeting. But I'm curious if that's something, I know taking maybe a look at this program again, and seeing what type of work this is, and what do we really need to be funding it to achieve a goal, right? Is there a rapid goal that we could achieve? Is there a short-term, long-term, mid-range goals? Because I see these as, they come up as they become available, but really what are we working towards? I mean, preservation, yes, fully support that. Natural infrastructure, I think you made a great point about like how these wetlands really do the work that we couldn't otherwise create. It's pretty amazing how nature gives us what we need if we don't screw it up. And so how much of this do we need? And to what level should we be funding it? Are some questions that I have. So I see Katie popped up out of her seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are great questions, and they're important ones to think about. It's hard to quantify a goal for something like this. We've got 304,000 100,000 acres of land in the county. We've protected 1,700 acres over 10 years with this program. So it seems like the goal is still pretty far out there to help make a difference in the solutions that we're trying to achieve. I did look in it. We've been averaging $639 an acre for this work, which is, it's money, but it's fairly inexpensive for protection of lands, to Irene's point of the benefits, the ecosystem's benefits of protection of upland lands and wetlands and stream buffers. So appreciate your support for this, and we understand it's a complicated program, and happy to talk to any legislator who wants to give a call. We'll sit down with you and try to answer all your questions we can before budget season, because we certainly would love to see some funding go back into that program again in 2027.
Great, thank you. Judith?
Thanks to both of you. It's a very interesting question. I know from my conversations with the Land Trust that I don't know if they have a goal, but they certainly have a strategy. And the strategy is to try to connect vulnerable areas together, because the more fractured the natural spaces are, the less natural they become. And so they try to find these areas of high value and build connected spaces. And I don't know that it's really possible to have a goal about that, because properties are privately owned and people are not selling them, or they're not available, for various reasons. One thing I think is important to remember is, like, we live in this very natural space now, but this is the sort of thing that keeps it natural for the future. This is an area where climate change is not expected to have as significant of impacts as some other areas. And it's possible that in future decades, many people will want to live here, many more than currently live here now. And that kind of pressure could really put this kind of environmental space in jeopardy and jeopardize our whole way of living with that natural space around us, which is not just for the environment, although of course it is, but it's an economic driver.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? It brings people here for environmental activities. It keeps our lake as healthy as we can keep it, which we are already seeing impacts on the lake, right? And so I view it as putting things in trust, really, for not the people now, but for people in the future, because you can't guarantee that a space that's green now will be green forever.
Katie?
I agree with you, Judith. Thank you. I wanted to answer your question, Randy, about an app that might tell people where trails are. Our department actually has, we developed a website that's optimized for the phone and everything. It's called ithacatrails.org. And it's got parking directions and all the information you probably would want on trails.
Is there like a QR code that it can also scan at each kind of location, or? Just to like a simple map that you can pop it up, because our trails, and I know they're marked and mowed and maintained different areas better than others, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a QR code, but it does help, like which buses you can take to get to the different preserves and trailheads, and there's a lot of information on there. It's a great resource.
Yeah.
I've been on it, but it's.
And there's generally a trail map when you get there. I make a habit of taking a picture on my phone of the trail map, so that as I'm walking, I can figure out, which way do I go now?
Okay, we still have to vote for Resolution L. And any other questions before we? Okay, if we could do a roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Donna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Irene, would you like to give your committee report?
Yeah, we did all this stuff.
Okay. A+. Any questions for Irene? Okay, thank you. Okay, why don't we go ahead and go back to reports by County Administrator and Corso Kumpi.
Thank you. Very quick one. Let me pull some few items here. It's been a budget season, budget stuff all the time. So just to tell you where we are as at this afternoon, the difference between revenues and expenses, which is usually levied as a property tax levy, currently sit at 63,964,835, which is approximately 12.47% increase over 2026 adopted property tax. That number includes $1 million from the tax stabilization fund that was set aside in 2024. If we decide to use $2 million from the tax stabilization fund, that will drop the number down to around about 9%. The current proposal that we have include about $705,000 of requests from department that we have supported, as compared to the $6.4 million that was submitted. Also, we did increase the fringe rate from 44% to 47%, which contributed to about $1.9 million in the budget. And also, requested salary was about $71.3 million, and the recommended as of now is about $69.3 million, which is down about $1.9 million. So we have made significant changes by moving the numbers from the initial request from Department of 29.6% down to the current number that we are working with at 12.47%. We continue to work to review the numbers, to make several changes as they come our way, but our goal is to be able to submit to all of you by Monday the recommended budget for you to be able to have time to read through it before we present it on September 1st. So that's my report for today.
Thank you, Corsa. Any questions for Corsa? Judith?
Thank you, Corsa. I think probably all of us are daunted by these numbers, but I underline that it gives me great confidence to know that you're going through these department budgets line by line and trying to figure out what's actually necessary and what isn't necessary in this difficult budget year. So I really appreciate that, because I don't quite know where we would go without that level of scrutiny. Certainly bringing down the request from 29.5, did you say, % increase down to 12.4 is already a significant improvement in our position, and I'm sure we'll have some lengthy discussions from here on out, but I am very grateful.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to add that the difference in the amount from last year's adopted budget and this where we sit right now, about $7 million, is made up of $4.6 million that were used last year from the fund balance to support the budget. And also the 3% vacancy factor that we used last year as well. So this is a problem that we are carrying forward as at now, and it's not going to go away until we try to do something about it to try and right-size the cost of services over time. So I just wanted to add that point to your discussions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Corsa? Okay, thanks, Corsa. Next is County Attorney Maury Josephson.
Good evening. First, to pick up on something that Corsa said before I forget it, is in preparing the budget and considering use of the tax stabilization reserve, there are a couple of things. The principal one I wanted to bring to your attention so that it can be borne in mind is that drawing from a tax stabilization reserve requires a supermajority vote of 2/3 of the legislature, as opposed to simply approving the budget itself by majority. So we need to keep that in mind and prepare the appropriate resolutions and groundwork in the event the tax stabilization reserve is being used. The second thing I wanted to get to is an expression of appreciation. In particular, appreciation for your patience with some of our deeper initiative items that are not on a particular deadline, which often get deferred. To give you a sense of why that's the case, just looking at recent notes, I have about 50 inquiries of various kinds from different departments, also of various degrees of urgencies that are non-litigated matters. On the juvenile justice side, as of last week's GO meeting, Holly had already appeared 8 times in court on juvenile justice matters and had 4 scheduled for the next day. And I'm not sure what, how many additional ones there have been since then. And our FOIL fulfillment machine, run mostly by Aaron and Shane, grinds forward, and we're continuing to push out the documents as quickly as we can. So when there's an initiative that seems delayed, don't assume it's a problem with my office so much as that there's just a crowd in the waiting room, so to speak. And I do appreciate that all of you are patient with that. Of those 50 or so items, there were a couple of fascinating ones that I wanted to bring to your attention and kind of review, similar to the discussion of FOIL that I had done at the last legislature meeting. And these are tales of one hand giving and the other taking away. And one of them has to do with something I have personally found, very interesting to work on, which is our cell tower leases or emergency services leases. One of which is with Cornell, and we had an initial discussion a week or so ago. Corsa was there, so he knows the tenor of the discussion. The hand that gives is how much free emergency service infrastructure we provide to Cornell University, and the hand that taketh away. I thought this was a simple, no-brainer part of the negotiation, which is there's a provision in that lease that allows Cornell to have 50% of our sublessee revenues, and they are insisting on keeping that and enforcing that, and suggest that it's separate from the issue of the emergency services which benefit Cornell and Cornell Public Safety that run through that tower. So we're waiting to see their response to what I thought was a very creative and erudite proposal on our part, and I will update you as that happens. Another is the state of New York gave with respect to procurement by extending the authorization for piggybacking under Section 103 of the General Municipal Law for another year. What piggybacking is something that allows the parties allows the county to obtain services and goods through another government contract, whether that's a state contract, a federal contract, another locality's contract. So the state gave, the appellate division for the 3rd Department took away in a significant way. I'm talking about the decision in Lynch versus Maine Endwell School District, which basically took public work out of the category of procurement for which piggybacking can be used. Basically establishing for jurisdictions within the third department, which includes our county, that the only contracts for which piggybacking can be used are supply contracts. They cannot be used for construction contracts or other public work contracts, which was something of an unpleasant surprise for our highway department, and maybe so for facilities as well. I don't foresee this impacting the center of government project in any way. And I'm going to be happy to continue working with the departments and with finance to really shift gears and help with procurement under the Maine Endwell regime. Finally, as part of the county's audit process, I had prepared an audit letter which provides information about all the county's litigation, and I plan to distill that and aggregate it into a litigation report that can be given publicly, and I'll expect to have that at the next GO meeting and next legislature meeting after the next GO meeting. Other than that, I'm open to any questions you may have, either here or offline, to the extent they'd be getting into privileged subject matter.
Thank you, Maury. Greg?
Thanks, Maury. Raises an interesting question. Do we have a contract with Cornell to provide them with emergency service support? Or do we just do it?
Part of it, we just do it, and part of it are pursuant to certain contractual arrangements that are sort of one-off to the particular area of public safety that we're talking about. And I think that's an area that I'd like to spend some time with Dewar to assemble that into a bundle, because Cornell did express willingness to address that, albeit outside the scope of the tower lease.
And are some of those services something that we could charge for if we chose to?
I believe so.
Okay. Great.
Any other questions for Maury? Okay, thanks, Maury. Next, Mr. Darrell Tuttle, and this is his last meeting tonight with the county. So, of course, we wish you the best, Darrell, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. I have a quick report, but before I talk about that, it has been a pleasure working with all the staff at Tompkins County, but also serving the legislature, even if it was only a year. So thank you.
Thank you.
The report I have is kind of a very high-level preliminary report on our auction, which concluded last night, Monday night. All parcels sold. The county had 12 parcels and the city had 2, and all of them have sold. We had over 49,000 views on our online auction, 129 registered bidders. Now, I do want to point, not all of them placed bids, but they at least took the initiative to register. That is very high level. We are working on finalizing all the buyers and getting the deposits and payments, and we'll should have a more detailed report next month.
Thank you, Darrell. Any questions or comments for Darrell? Well, we are sad to see you go. Thank you so much for your service with the county. Deborah Dawson.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you as well, Darrell, and tell you that it's been a pleasure working with you, and I think we all wish you the very best of luck and much success in your new endeavor.
Thank you.
Great.
And enjoy the beach.
I will try.
Great.
You must sunburn like nobody's business.
I actually tan more than some
Really?
redheads,
Oh.
yes.
Wow.
I do burn, but I tan.
But eventually it changes. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Why don't we go ahead and go to Facilities and Infrastructure Committee, Lee Shirtliff, Chair, and we have some highway resolutions.
Thank you, Shauna. F&I will be meeting Thursday morning at 10 o'clock here, and the agenda has been posted. We have not met since the last meeting. I do have 2 resolutions tonight, plus one under individual member filed later on. Resolution O, contingent fund appropriation, Highway Department replacement of Highway Division sign truck, ID number 14220. So moved.
And Dan Wakeman seconds. Would you like to talk a little bit about this resolution?
Unfortunately, the sign truck was involved in an accident several weeks ago and is in need of replacement. We did receive some insurance funding to cover the value of the truck, but the upfitting for its replacement and value of additional equipment exceeds what that insurance would do. So we're asking for money from contingency to make that happen.
Thank you, Lee. Any questions or comments for Lee? Or for Corsa? He could probably answer that too. Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson? Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's 15, one away.
Okay. Also, I just realized that Nick Ensign is here, our Director of Facilities, or Highway Director. So he's also here to answer any questions too. Would you like to move your second one?
Yes, Resolution P, Highway Department multi-year contract for pavement monitoring system, Highway Department 2026 budget adjustment and 2027 target increase, ID number 14212.
Seconded by Greg Mezzi.
Both Facilities and Infrastructure and the Budget Committee have had a presentation regarding software program that the Highway Department has proposed to purchase. And what this does is, I've got my pages out of order here, I apologize, provides a purchase of software from Roadway Management Technologies. It offers a vehicle-mounted passive remote pavement monitoring system in which sensors are mounted on multiple Highway Department vehicles to gather data, visual, vibration, and other pavement data during the normal course of operations. This will help the Highway Department to maintain, update, move forward with highway replacement and improvement plans. That's a process that is a manual process at current. It's usually done by a couple of Highway Department managers several times throughout the year. A very subjective process, driving the roads and evaluating and offering a point-based system. This is a more objective system, much more objective system that uses a number of technologies and sensors to accumulate that data. And there's a full package that explains what the system is all about in tonight's agenda.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I do want to make a comment and possibly an amendment here.
Yeah.
At the Budget Capital Committee, the committee amended the original resolution to remove the target adjustments in future years. And essentially what you have before you tonight, what we have before us tonight, recognizes $33,000 in permitting fees that will be used for this year's software, and presumably on an ongoing basis or a similar amount in future years. The committee moved to strike the future obligation pending the budget that's being reviewed by county administration. So I'm going to suggest that the title of this, and I'll move to amend it, that we take out the last part that says and 2027 target increase, because we have removed that. And secondly, down in paragraph, or...
You know what, let's do these each individually.
Okay.
Greg, is that friendly? Okay, is it unfriendly to anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if we go down to line 27 and 28, the wording after accordingly and before now therefore be it resolved. So where it says, as well as adjusting the Highway Department's fiscal target for 2027 and beyond to cover the increased we need to take that out, because that's what we did by removing the last resolved at the Budget Committee meeting.
Okay, is that friendly, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, is it unfriendly to anyone?
Should have thought of it that day, yeah.
Okay, thank you all. Katrina, did you get that? Okay, we have that amended now. Okay, any other questions or comments for this resolution? Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman?
Yes.
Veronica Pillar?
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff?
Yes.
Mike Sigler?
Yes.
Adam Vinson?
Yes.
Dan Wakeman?
Yes.
Irene Weiser?
Yes.
Christy Bianconi?
Yes.
Travis Brooks?
Yes.
Randy Brown?
Yes.
Shauna Black?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Anything else from facilities?
Please feel free to join us Thursday morning.
Okay. Any questions for Lee Shirtliff? Okay, thank you. I have been asked for us to go to Resolution S, and that was filed by Legislator Shirtliff as well for the Monroe balancing. Do you mind bringing that forward, Lee?
Be glad to. This Resolution S, Monroe Balancing Test Analysis regarding building permits for work at 654 Elmira Road, Ithaca, New York, ID number 14276.
Seconded by Greg Mezzi.
And we all know that the county has leased space at the Roadway Motel for use as a shelter, and there are improvements and repairs that need to be made. I've spoken with Holly Mosier, and Maury's here, of course, and can add to this if we need to, but given the permitting process, the Monroe balancing has been applied in this project, and this will allow us to move forward. Maybe Maury wants to elaborate just a touch on that.
Yeah, the purpose of the Monroe balancing in this instance is to move forward with occupancy of 2 rooms that have been taken out of service because of a fire. They are ready to go. And for construction of a security booth and security arm at the entrance to the premises to better control entry and exit and prevent strangers or individuals who are not authorized to be on the shelter site from being there, which is helpful in terms of our OTDA licensure for the facility as well. It's laid out very nicely in the 8-factor analysis that is set forth in the agenda packet, which, in the growth and development of our office real estate land use and things like Monroe balancing are also prepared by the Deputy County Attorney, Holly Mosier. And that is here before you. If there are questions about the particulars, I can answer them, but they really are laid out succinctly in the memo.
I have Greg and then Randy.
The things my 10-year-old self didn't realize that someday I would come to love, like a Monroe balancing test. For the public, though, this doesn't mean that we don't follow code or things like that. This just means that our Director of Facilities acts as the sort of code and officer in this situation. That's correct?
That's correct, and the locality also is not excluded from the analysis. It's a way of expediting the process. So like we saw, for example, with the Monroe balancing test in the village of Lansing, in order to install the solar carport, at 55 Brown Road, there was positive input from the village as well.
Great, thanks for the clarity.
Randy?
Yeah, I just wanted to note, that we are leasing all the rooms in this hotel. I noticed that the roadway sign has been removed, so I'm not sure we can refer to it as the roadway anymore. They probably removed their franchise because it's not being used for that anymore. But we pay, we're paying the owner of the property a daily fee. They're not collecting the hotel tax on that fee as well, are they?
They are not.
Okay. I have a friend, or a person I've got to know well, and Irene's met him.
Yeah.
And he hopes he never has to go back there again. So.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Why don't we go to Public Safety Committee, Travis Brooks, if you could provide a chair's report.
Yeah, I can. Make it brief. We haven't met since our last meeting. We meet next Tuesday. The same with Health and Human Services. We meet tomorrow. We haven't met since our last meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Travis? Comments? Thank you, Travis. Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Veronica Pillar, Chair.
We have also not met since our last meeting. We will be meeting this coming Monday at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Any questions for Veronica? Comments? Okay, thank you. Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee, Deborah Dawson, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met last week, and our main item of business was receiving the audit report. We do have one resolution that had been on the consent agenda, Resolution A, authorization for the Tompkins County Finance Department to enter into a multi-year agreement with Systems East, Inc. for tax software services ID 14252, and I so move.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Veronica.
I'm going to let Daryl speak to this resolution, and then Randy can tell us why he pulled it.
This is a contract that we use Systems East for our delinquent tax collection. It's software we use every year. Normally it's a contract renew every year. However, to lock us in some good rates for the next 3 years and to also kind of ease the administrative burden of renewing contracts for a few years, we asked Systems East if they'd be open to a 3-year multi-year contract, and per our policy, it has to be approved by the legislature.
Thank you. Randy?
Yeah, I pulled it for a couple of reasons. One was we had a discussion about this and clarification on how real estate taxes are actually collected. And they're collected by all the town clerks, and another city has its own process. And then those funds are remitted to us, and they have a system for tracking them. And so what happens when taxes are not paid, the county makes the other entities whole, including school districts, and this software, it's my understanding, manages the taxes that we paid on somebody else's behalf, and also to the people who have not paid taxes, so it goes through the foreclosure process. And my question with that is that just for 1 year, or is it track like multiple years? Because some people go through before you foreclose on them, there's multiple years.
Multiple years.
So it does track all of that relationship with
Yes.
that particular tax.
All that history is in there.
Okay. So that was, I'd make clarification on that. And the other thing is that I feel there's a better way maybe to collect taxes and communicate better with the towns and how they do it. And I know some towns, we pay them sales tax, sometimes we keep the sales tax and we apply to the county bill. So it is, I was just wanting to clarify that, and
one of the questions I got from the last town board meeting in Newfield is that they aren't real clear on how much sales tax they get because it's applied directly to the county bill to reduce the county bill. So they never receive any of the funds from the, I'm sorry, I'm talking sales tax now. From sales tax, it's kept here and then it reduces the county bill, which was actually reported on the county's website and misconstrued that the county tax was lower than the Newfield tax because the Newfield sales tax was applied to the county taxes. So I'm going to ask Monica to change that a little bit. But I got an earful on that one. But I just want to clarify it.
Great, thank you, Randy. Any other questions on this resolution? Okay, why don't we do a roll call, please?
Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Anything else, Deborah?
Nope.
Okay, any questions for Deborah Dawson? Okay, thank you. Next is Government Operations Committee, Randy Brown, Chair.
Thanks, Shauna. We did meet. We met last Tuesday, and we one of the things we got some agency reports, quarterly reports that showed they're good reports. They're written and also detailed the various entities that the county is funding. So one of them I was not aware of, so it was good to read those reports and appreciate getting them in advance. But it was good to see that and understand how the money's flowing and also what it's committed to in particular, whether it's personnel or something else. So I really do appreciate those agency reports to see that. We had a long discussion about training and there'll be some follow-up on that and what's actually mandatory and required, and we'll continue that discussion. We also had a nice report from the public library, and they went through a lot of issues and talked a lot about some of the changes and challenges they're having, and it was good to hear that they're refilling some of the books that many books, I think it was tens of thousands of books, I remember they've been spending funds on.
I think it was about 3 times the rate that they usually work at buying books.
Right, replacing books that had disappeared. I also took up a tour of the library with Emerson, and he gave me a punch list that was reviewed, and I'm hoping that we can get to some of those needed repairs soon.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy?
Judith, anything?
One of the things we talked about also was countywide training policies, which for anybody here who has gone through training recently, which I think probably most people, we have a lot of required training. It's done through an online system. And so we asked the person, we asked whether it'd be possible to review that list and think about whether there were things that were more optional that could be moved to a more infrequent schedule that are not required by the state and not required by any exterior entity, in order to allow people to really focus and engage with the training that they're doing rather than feeling overwhelmed by the amount that is happening. Yeah.
One other thing, in our September meeting, we're still hoping for the state assessment department to come to talk about the homestead option for us. And currently it's on the docket for September.
Nice. Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Randy or Judith? Okay, thanks, Randy. Next, let's move on to Housing and Economic Development Committee. Greg Mezzi, Chair.
Thanks, Shauna. We last met the 5th, August 5th. And shout out to our workforce development crew for their youth employment program, which I gave a little bit of an update on. Just wanted to share some of the numbers, highlights that they shared. Our youth employment program served 70 youth across 31 job sites. Those 70 youth are identified as individuals living in an area or going to school in an area that's at higher risk of gun violence. 15 of them came from foster care, 4 of them homeless or runaway youth, and 35 are youth with a disability. This is a really strong program and really helps many in our community sort of break that cycle and get an opportunity to be exposed to places like Autumn Leaves Bookstore and Finger Lakes Reuse, Green Star Cooperative, Ithaca Bakery, Stewart Park Day Camp, the Science Center, the Youth Bureau, the YMCA, Village at Ithaca, Tompkins County Office of Human Rights, and the Department of Social Services. So there's a lot of different great employers, and it does take a lot for employers to be part of this program and be able to take on these young individuals as they're starting. But I think it's a meaningful program, and just wanted to highlight the work that our workforce development folks are doing, and our thanks and appreciation to those job sites that take part in this summer program. Also, just wanted a quick second quarter tourism update for second quarter 2026. And so everybody knows the second quarter is March 1st, 2026 through May 31st of 26. Room tax collected for Q2 totaled 1.2 million. This was representing 13.4% increase from Q2 of 2025. Most of that is likely driven by rate increases and not occupancy, if you kind of drill down into the numbers. Our tax exempt rooms were about 13.3% of the rooms in the market for that period, which is pretty standard for our market. And this was about 200 and some thousand above our budgeted forecast. So seeing some strong numbers, but still cautiously optimistic. Other than that, we need more housing, and the economy is working for some and not for most. So that's my report.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Okay. Next, let's go ahead and move on. We have 2 individual member filed resolutions left. The first one was submitted by Rachel Osland. Rachel, would you like to bring that forward?
Yes, so I'd like to move Resolution Q, resolution calling for a 2-year delay of the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, administrative and benefit cost shifts enacted under H.R. 1, and calling on New York State to hold counties harmless if the federal government fails to act, ID 14272.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Veronica.
Great. So basically, the passage of H.R. 1 last year set in motion 2 major financial shifts to SNAP. Both of these shifts will have an impact on our budget locally. So the first change is that there will be an increase in the percentage of the administrative cost of SNAP borne by states. So instead of the federal government paying 50% of the administrative cost to administer SNAP, they will only pay 25%. And since New York State is one of only 10 states where SNAP is administered at the county level and not at the state level, this cost shift will be borne by counties. And so that is set to go into effect on October 1st of this year. The second change is that there's a new cost sharing requirement for SNAP benefits, and that's going to be tied to a state's payment error rate. This change is set to go into effect October 1st of next year. And about the error rates, so historically, the federal government has paid SNAP benefits. H.R. 1 established this cost sharing so that if a state has a payment error rate over 6%, it will be required to pay a portion of SNAP benefits issued in the state. And New York is currently looking at needing to pay an estimated $1.1 billion in annual benefit costs. And this is a cost that it's not clear whether that cost will be passed along to the counties or whether that will be taken on by the state. And just briefly about the error rates. So payment error rates are not the same as fraud or abuse. Error rates encompass both over and underpayments, and they often stem from minor paperwork errors, fluctuating household income between recertification periods, or even like a delayed filing of an application by eligibility staff. So you can still have households that are eligible, but because of minor errors, they're being marked as receiving, it's being marked as an error rate. So data about error rates is really important. It's already being collected regularly by state level and federal level quality control teams, and that information is used to improve systems. So the resolution basically asks for two things. First, it's asking for Congress to support a 2-year delay of these cost shifts so that the federal government hopefully will take time to provide guidance for how these financial shifts will be implemented, and to provide guidance with enough notice so that states can then make appropriate adjustments in their budgets, and also give a little more time to have states set up sustainable funding mechanisms. And then the second request is that New York State take on the additional financial burdens if the federal government does not enact the delay, instead of passing those costs along to counties. There is growing support both in the state and around the country for this delay. Most states in the country have error rates that are high enough that would they'd be required to take on, or they'd be subject to the benefit cost sharing requirements. And the administrative cost shifts will affect everybody. I have just a few more things just to give some more context around it. Historically, SNAP has had bipartisan support for its success in reducing hunger, especially childhood hunger. It stabilizes household budgets, it improves health and education outcomes, and it also pours a pretty steady stream of money into local economies. These policies are in place in order to gut the program as a way to reduce federal spending. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the nutrition provision changes in H.R. 1 will reduce federal spending by $187 billion over the next 10 years. So basically these changes set up an incentive program for states to either restrict access to SNAP or to abandon it entirely. In order to avoid these costs. The costs are made to be untenable by design. And just to further put it in context, the saving, just, where these savings are really going to come from, it will largely be borne by people who are then going to go hungry and not have the food that they need. Children make up 39% of SNAP participants, and there'll be a huge backsliding in progress that has been made historically against childhood hunger as people lose access to their food benefits. I would have preferred to submit a resolution that asked for the removal of these cost shifts and instead asked for federal investment in improving anti-hunger programs. But a delay in cost shifts is where there's political support, so that's where we're starting today. And I'm happy to answer questions about the resolution, or if I got anything wrong, Brittany or Corsa can jump in.
I just want to say, I think as a country, we're in a really bad place if we're not making sure that children and people that live here have food. That is an absolute basic need. So it's a shame that this has happened. And there's inevitably no doubt in my mind that you're going to see blue states that are hit with this penalty at a much higher rate than you're going to see red states. Just a little observation. I have Irene, Randy, and John.
Rachel, I just wanted to thank you for all of the digging and work that you put into this. It's such an important issue, and you really dug deep to not just frame up a resolution, but really understand the dynamics at play. And Sean, I 100% agree. It's a really sad state and a very the burden on families and people who are struggling is so high in so many ways. And to add this is just unbelievable. And I want to add to and acknowledge to Brittany and her staff the kind of burden that is put in her department as well is just unbelievable to have to work now to inform people that they're not eligible or track their work requirements. It's just, it's an extra burden. I've worked with our Caroline Food Pantry. There is nobody who, there's always this idea that people are taking advantage of the system. I have never, ever met anybody who wants to be dependent on these kind of things. It's like it's like a step into a world of shame that they shouldn't feel ashamed. The shame should be on a country that can't, the wealthiest country in the world that can't feed its people. But anyhow, it's just such a horrible situation, and I 100% support this, and thank you, Rachel, for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Randy, and then John.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this forward. I know that, and I see Brittany's here, I know that over the last year or more, you've been thinking about these new regulations and the changes there. Has the state done anything to provide technology to help you better qualify people and to track it better, or how to improve error rates, or are we pretty much where we were before?
So state, yes and no. The state has taken a lot of actions to try and support departments. They have been piloting AI tools. Tompkins County is partnering with OTDA on an AI tool, but it is not with regard to data. It is just for workers to be able to look up like regulations and rules and be able to give accurate information, which is really helpful. A lot of these payment error rates are tied to rules and regulations. And then other piece of this, though, is that the payment error rate is tied to the whole state. So even if we locally in Tompkins County have a really low payment error rate, that doesn't matter. It's bared by the entire state. The cost of it is the whole state thing. So it's largely impacted by New York City. And at the last commissioners conference, New York City did state that they were taking significant measures to try and bring their payment error rate down because it is such a it has such a huge weight on the state overall. That was very preliminary, so it's a little early to be able to say how that's working for New York City at this time and whether that's going to have a meaningful impact on lowering the overall payment error rate. New York City often delivers, so I have faith that their Department of Social Services is going to be able to figure out helping to lower this. And OTDA is invested in helping ensure that too.
Thanks, Brittany.
John?
Do the costs that we bear for these programs to the state, where do they appear in the budget? They come out of the DSS budget, or where would we find them? You know what I mean?
You mean for the administrative cost?
The money that we pay as a county to fund this program.
So the benefit cost shift is we've put it into the DSS budget for this year. For the payment error rate that would take effect in 2027, that's still a discussion that we're having at the county level. The hope is that the payment error rate for the state overall is going to be reduced meaningfully, that we won't have to pay a penalty. Or that legislation will be such that it pauses this and we won't have it for a period of time. And then we would, during that period of time, the state would be able to work towards meaningfully reducing it. This is a conversation that I've already started with admin on what potentially it could look like if in worst case scenario. So those are conversations that are happening.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's vote on the resolution, please.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
Judith Hubbard?
Yes.
John Hunt?
Yes.
Greg Mezzi?
Yes.
Rachel Oslin?
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. And next, we have a resolution from Legislator Dawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move Resolution R, appointment of the interim Tompkins County Director of Finance. That's ID 14273, and I so move.
I think it's 7-5. Seconded by Judith.
Okay, well, as we all know, we've suffered staff losses in the Department of Finance, and it's been determined that our county administrator, Corsa Kunfi, has the background and experience to stand in as interim finance director until we can hire a replacement for Daryl. And that is what this particular resolution is all about. I would note that there is an error on line 9. The Tompkins County Legislature plans to conduct, not conducting. That's probably plain error, Katrina. So.
Okay. And is that's just a manifest? Okay. That one's fine then. Any, Corsa, would you like to not accept this or accept this or? Oh, can you use your microphone?
Line 18, I think Daryl's last day is the 20th, so the effective date will be 21st.
Do we want to do that?
Who drafted this? Because it wasn't me.
Daddy's already doing the accounting.
I'm okay with leaving him the powers as of the 20th.
One more day, 21st.
One day more.
Did we want, Katrina was asking, do we want the overlap?
That's okay.
Okay. Okay. So we are going to change it. Is that friendly with
Yes,
you,
it
Deborah?
is.
Is it friendly with you, Judith? Is it not friendly to anyone on the legislature?
I'm not sure that it's friendly to Daryl.
Who proposed that change? Deborah, did you propose that?
I think Corsa just brought it up, but I'll be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That is unanimous.
Thank you. Next, we have the minutes of our previous meetings. Let's go ahead and put those together. August 4th, 2026 and August 5th, 2026. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Rachel, seconded by Travis. Any changes, corrections, questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Deborah Dawson.
Yes.
Judith Hubbard.
Yes.
John Hunt.
Yes.
Greg Mezzi.
Yes.
Rachel Oslin.
Yes.
Iris Packman.
Yes.
Veronica Pillar.
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff.
Yes.
Mike Sigler.
Yes.
Adam Vinson.
Yes.
Dan Wakeman.
Before I cast, I was not here for those. Am I allowed to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Irene Weiser.
Yes.
Christy Bianconi.
Yes.
Travis Brooks.
Yes.
Randy Brown.
Yes.
Shauna Black.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Any unfinished business tonight? Okay. There being no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.